All right, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to our Small Business Spotlight live stream. Today's a little bit different because my good friend Steve McKeon here is here. Mac, say hello, my friend.
Hey, how you doing? Pleasure to have me here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. So this is a special one because Mac's going to talk about himself for a second, but he'll also jump in and talk about blockchain, which I think is going to be awesome because there's a lot of stuff talking out there in the markets about blockchain, about crypto, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's all this craziness right now. So Mac's going to demystify some of that for us and explain a little bit. But first, I want everyone else to know who you are and what you do, Max. So if you want to take a few minutes to talk about that, who are you?
Sure, yeah, I appreciate that. So I know it might be a little weird. The name Mac, you're wondering how that came about. So it's actually short for MacGyver. So it's honestly a name that's followed me around since I've been a kid. Everybody's called me like, hey, you're that MacGyver guy. You can fix things or break things or whatever. So I always took stuff apart and honestly made a living out of it. So fast forward to many years later, I have a company that initially was MacGyver Media 10 years ago. We just rebranded to MacGyver Tech, but we have a focus and we do software development in a different way. I'm an ethical hacker, so I like to see things used in ways that probably aren't always kind of like done the normal way, but what is the normal way? And sometimes you find creative ways to do things and then much better sometimes. So that's just who we are. We like to do pretty cool technology using software, but it also bleeds into a little bit in the blockchain space and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies because that's a big passion of mine. And we're starting to embrace that technology. I have actually been in that space from another company that I have, basically doing mining for about 5 years.
That's awesome, man. And so before we jump into this, I do want to clarify because this is the attorney me talking, but this is not going to be financial advice of any kind. Please do not take this as like we need to go invest anything. This is nothing like that. This is just education about blockchain, about cryptocurrency. What you choose to do with your money is your business. Please do not take this as like advice. So
absolutely agree with that. And I think we should definitely say this is not financial advice. It is very risky. But risk comes with reward, and if you really are interested in some cool things and a new revolution is coming about in the financial sector, this is it. And it's really fascinating because when I first got into it, I'll share my story, how I got into Bitcoin and blockchain in particular, is about 5 years ago, my buddy said, hey, I just heard on the news that Bitcoin was banned in China. Do you want to get in? So I was like, oh my God, sure, let's see what this is about and see if it's actually worth my time. So what I did, this is the proof use case, is I bought one of those mining machines off of eBay for a premium for about $6,000. And then once we got that going, I said, this is doable. And wound up buying a crap ton of these machines directly from that manufacturer. The name is Bitmain from Hong Kong. And we shipped 85 machines over here and built 2 data centers. At one point, we were burning more than $10,000 in electricity costs every month just to keep these machines running. Now we've reduced our energy costs, but our throughput's going up exponentially because of lately it's extremely profitable to be mining if you can get the hardware. So that's a little on that stuff. So hopefully I covered a little bit of some of the intro there and give you my background.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So let's start at the beginning, right? What the heck is blockchain? All right. What are people talking about when talking about blockchain and being decentralized and all these different things? Tell the folks what actually blockchain. Tell me as well, because I'm not acting like I know, because I don't freaking know either. But
sure, and I'll just go back. I'll bring the cursor back just a little bit from that. So basically, what started this whole thing is 2008 crash, that financial crash that happened that really got us messed up financially, and started the thing called quantitative easing one, which they started printing money out of thin air. So that spawned a fear in a lot of people, and one person in particular, a group of people, decided to create a system that could potentially prevent this from ever happening again in the future, and they called it Bitcoin. And it was an electronic cashing system that you can basically transact money without actually having to know who the other person is or even interact with them in any way, shape, or form. What they created is a thing called a trustless system, meaning I don't have to trust it for it to work properly, and it can't be manipulated, modified, or changed like other systems financially that have been in the past. It basically prevents people from messing it up, is a way of thinking about it. And on top of that, it's built on the highest level of security known to man. These are unhackable systems that are really going to lay the foundation for the internet of the future, because our current internet is an absolute mess because it's all riddled with hacking and problems, and people take advantage of that. But these networks, and that's what they are, will replace that. And Bitcoin was the first. So Bitcoin allowed you to have ability to transact money without a third party, meaning a bank or a government that's going to be able to manipulate it in any way, shape, or form. That's what it started with. And blockchain is the underlying technology that is built, what builds Bitcoin and every other blockchain that's out there, or cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
The Bitcoin part makes sense. So for the blockchain part, tell me more about the technology around blockchain.
Sure. So the reason why they're using blocks, and the best way to think about it is, you know what a chain looks like. Have all these links and these kind of things. So imagine a chain of blocks, and they just have little hooks and lock the blocks together. That's really, if you visually want to paint a picture of what the blockchain looks like, that's what they are. But it's very ingenious of how they use the blocks. Is what's clever, is they actually encrypted the data hooks to actually be changed when the data changes inside the blocks. So the act of actually trying to hack one of the blocks, you delink the chain automatically. So it's a passive mechanism to prevent hacking. On top of that, these networks are self-aware. Borderline Skynet, think of Terminator, but not as abrasive, I guess. What they can do is they can sense things that are not desirable by the network, by like people trying to hack it. Like if I start trying to hack it, that was one of those blocks, the network's going to notice and it does cut me off. So it's kind of self-aware, and it basically it's self-protecting. It's guess more of like it makes sense. So it's distributed too, meaning that there's not one computer in the world where this is at, or a data center. So for Bitcoin or these cryptocurrencies to go the way, you're going to have to get rid of all the power and internet in the world at the same time. If one Bitcoin miner's left in the world, if like they say we got hit by an asteroid and somebody wound up having a solar farm and can keep that Bitcoin miner running, Bitcoin is still alive.
Wow. So it is like Skynet.
So it's a hive mentality. It's almost like a swarm. So each of these miners are independent of each other, but also work together.
Gotcha.
So
okay, that makes a lot more sense.
So the decentralization of this is what the real big factor is. And what this prevents is governments and banks and people from taking advantage of other people. These are fair money systems.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense, actually. So whereas right now everything's in the financial markets, everything's in like the bank computers. There is no bank computer. There's all these.
It's a complete. So basically, Bitcoin is the first public ledger. So basically, it's all the way out public for everybody to see, and they can go at and view it. It's just not like a ledger that you might be accustomed to, like QuickBooks, because QuickBooks is going to say Mike Smith for the name. It's just going to be a hash code. It doesn't even say who it is. It's just a hash, link that basically says, hey, this is the transaction, this is how much what it was, and this is who I sent it to. And really, that's all what Bitcoin is really a better financial system than we currently have, because it's kind of like, to think about it, is the next version of credit cards and online money, like PayPal. But those guys can just change numbers in a database, and that's they can change it to $100 to $500. Somebody in a facility in a company could do that, and nobody could do it. You can't do that with Bitcoin. You can't modify balance sheets or change things erroneously. It's locked in. It's exact, and it doesn't make a change. There's not a human that can go and modify that.
And if you try to, then it decouples everything anyway.
You'll never even get that far. And when I talk about like trying to block one of those blocks, I'm talking about you need Russia to focus all of their efforts at the same time on that block.
Wow.
That's not going to happen. Or China, or even these are so. I mean, it's scales that when I tell you, like the Bitcoin network, and that's what this is. These are all networks like equated to like AT&T and Verizon. So when you basically think of it as that, it's not just an app. You're actually just interacting with a network, and that network is growing and growing and growing. I believe the last time I looked, the Bitcoin network was in a petascale, the petahash scale. Like the miners that I have are terahash scale, and just think about that. These machines the ones I have do 15.6 trillion calculations a second each.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's insane.
So that's on a Bitcoin network. So put that in scale. Ethereum, which is the #2 coin right behind Bitcoin, and that it's considered probably a better product overall, to be honest. But that is in a mega hash scale, and you can actually see, if you hear, that's actually a little bit of my mining Ethereum. There is just one of my rigs. It's just kind of showing it nothing really crazy or sexy. It's just a black box, but what it does, it's mining cryptocurrencies, and basically is you get rewarded for that. But Ethereum, what that really is I want to touch on that a little bit because it's really important to understand it, because Bitcoin came out and was just trying to fix a money problem, but that technology was so good for other things. It was actually repurposed for a distributed computer system, and that's what Ethereum is. Ethereum is the largest distributed computer system in the world, and what it allows you to do is create a thing called a smart contract. Basically, it's a little computer program that can live on the blockchain, and it can do amazing things.
Oh, okay.
So that's a little bit, probably pushing the limit of this, but I want to understand like the technology that this is kind of opened up from a Pandora's box kind of standpoint is amazing. It's going to change a lot of industries.
Oh, it sounds like it, man. And so for those folks watching, please feel free to throw questions into the chat, and we'll let them know. We'll post them on the group in general, so you can Steve can answer them for you. But for me, so right now, the big question I have is like Bitcoin versus Ethereum. So Ethereum is you said the next level of Bitcoin, or like the next, I guess, iteration of Bitcoin?
The best way to think, yeah. So basically, Bitcoin was a version blockchain 1.0. Ethereum is like blockchain 2.0. There's even blockchain 3.0s now. What they've done is they've gotten progressively better. The problem with Bitcoin, it's really good from money standpoint, but it's slow. Meaning, like if I was going to send you, Drew, like a Bitcoin or some Bitcoin, it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes for that transaction to settle. So the problem with that is if I'm at that store and I'm buying a candy bar with Bitcoin, are you going to wait there 25 minutes for them to wait for that, say that's good? Probably not.
Right.
So that's what the problem with Bitcoin is. It's not really meant for a money system. And the reason why it takes so long now is because Bitcoin's grown past what its wildest dreams it ever could be. Its market capitalization, or basically how much it's worth, just Bitcoin alone is over $1 trillion.
Wow.
It's like the fourth largest economy in the world.
So do you foresee Bitcoin
countries ahead of it? And nobody owns it. This is what I'm saying. It's just like imagine like seeing a chart and see something stick out. That's what Bitcoin is.
Yeah. So do you see Bitcoin growing further than it is right now? Do you, like the value that it is right now, or do you think it's kind of like, tapped out, and then Ethereum's going to take over the next level, and then maybe even
this is just getting started. So I see in less than 10 years, Bitcoin being between 20 and 40x from its current placement now, and its current placement is close to $60,000.
Yeah.
So that will ultimately bring it into $1 to $2 million range.
Wow. And so you don't see this slowing down at all, like in terms of the growth?
Absolutely not. Nope. I mean, just to give you an idea, on a daily basis, just yesterday, $239 billion was traded.
Wow.
That's substantial. That's $250 million.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That's $250 billion. Sorry.
I think Bitcoin came out to do the financial market to replace that, right?
Solve a problem. That's what it was. And it basically was very successful at solving that problem. But the funny part about us, and I want to kind of say how deep the rabbit hole goes, the person who invented Bitcoin is a fictitious person or group. Thinking about that now. So okay. I don't want to add a wrinkle to all these things. And I think they did it for a reason. And if they did, they're probably the most clever people or persons in the world, because they knew that people were going to come after them for this.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's actually really, that's definitely conspiracy theory level of
the person unlucky enough to have the name Satoshi Nakamoto has been tortured.
Oh, I'm sure. It
was probably their neighbor or something.
Yeah, it's like, I hate
you never know, but I mean, it's like, oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to give him something like blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of funny, but it's like, it's an amazing kind of journey. And Bitcoin alone, just to understand its growth, it's been around for about 13 years only. So there's nothing that's grown faster than Bitcoin ever. Nothing. Nothing like gold, nothing, no company. So to give you an example, Bitcoin became $1 trillion thing in less than 10 years, or about 10 years. It took companies like Microsoft and Apple 20 or so years to get to that point. So they're a company too. This is owned by nobody.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting about it. It's like, it's worth $1 trillion, but there's nobody that owns it. People own pieces of it, but nobody owns it. So
you mentioned the Bitcoin's like slower, right? It takes like 25 to 30 minutes sometimes to verify a transaction. So what are the use cases of Bitcoin versus Ethereum?
Well, Bitcoin is not going to be cash. It's actually this a store of value. So Bitcoin's really like gold. It's gold 2.0.
Gotcha.
That's the best thing about that. But that is, so you don't want to kind of use it for those things. But Ethereum to me is very interesting because as a software engineering shop, we do software stuff that is very conducive to Ethereum. You know, basically all it allows me to do is build a more secure system than we've currently been doing. And I don't have to worry about hacking anymore. I don't have to worry about other things, and you know that are normally a problem in security of traditional software and environments. And this is also worth money. So these networks themselves actually make money from transactions, from this people using it. So it's actually creating economies. And some of them have economies inside of economies. It's amazing to see like these growths of these things out of nowhere. And like to give you an example, like, you know, there's a well-known entrepreneur who I care about, and I like the way he goes about things. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V. Yeah. And he now has created his own thing, and I think it's called V Media or something like that. And he's really going to be pushing this NFT space and really pushing the blockchain things. And see people like that really aren't so tech savvy get into this space. And companies like Walmart, I mean, PayPal, Cash App, I mean, every major company you can probably think of, even Tesla has put $1.5 billion into it. And it's just not slowing down from at least a financial standpoint. And I got to say, being in this for 5 years or half a decade now, I've never seen anything grow so ferociously as this. It's never ending. It like how we are, like things like go in certain cycles, but this is the entire world. So it's 24/7, nonstop, always going. It's like the stock market that never turns off. So from that standpoint.
Yeah, Gary Vee is doing the V Friends thing, which is like this is NFT project. But that brings up the idea of NFTs, right? So people have thrown this word around a lot. So what exactly are NFTs, and how are they being used now? I mean, they're being used in a lot of ways, like we can hear, right? But like, what are NFTs exactly? What is this?
Sure. Sure, I will try to demystify those acronyms that they're using here. So an NFT actually stands for a non-fungible token. And what that really means is it means you can have like a Bitcoin that doesn't have value. But that's kind of a misnomer because those NFTs are selling for a lot of money. But the NFT itself, the denomination of it is not going to be worth anything. It's just like a record. But that record is encapsulated inside the blockchain. So what they're using is the mechanism of the blockchain and what they're really good at, and controlling things like intellectual property. And that's why when I was telling about Ethereum, and that's why it's really useful, is that the distributed computer system. So inside that, you're running these NFTs or running smart contracts. That smart contract is actually basically manipulating code on the blockchain to do things. Like, to give an example, like that NFT, when it's sold to somebody, there's taxes that are built into the NFT to pay the people that created it for perpetuity. So if that NFT is sold to me from you, and the original person had that NFT, they get a little bit of kickback from that, maybe 7%. And I sell it to somebody else, automatically, this is built in, it just automatically gives a kickback to that person. 100 years from now, if it sells, that person gets that payment for that tax or whatever. Like baseball card companies like Topps that made baseball cards in the past, maybe all kind of collected as kids, they're now doing this and they're killing it. They actually launched the Garbage Pail Kids, well-known sticker set when I was a kid, on the blockchain on Wax Network, I'd say probably about a year ago. Within 1 hour, every single one sold out. And then on the resale secondhand market, they were already selling for 30 grand each.
Wow.
They were floored at the response. I actually was lucky enough to be on a panel with one of the guys that worked at Topps. And I was looking, I'm like, I didn't even know this at the time. I was like, that's amazing. And they're like, we're digitizing everything now. That's why you start to see, like, even at sports shots and sports clips, that is really what they're going to start taking hold and really making a lot of money. I can see NFTs being from like ESPN sports clips, or somebody getting a money shot or a home run. That gets created NFT. Now that artist who created that, or the person who hit the home run, can make money off of that, as well as the person selling it. So it creates a way of controlling intellectual property that has never been available in the past, where you always had to have a middleman control that.
Yeah.
It removes that whole layer.
That's amazing.
So that's what it allows you to do, and that's why it's really taking off.
So like individual artists could potentially create an NFT.
Absolutely. without somebody basically getting in the way. And their stuff can be from nobody to be start in a heartbeat if they have good stuff.
Wow.
They're going to have the platform. So on top of that, there's platforms to sell these NFTs, and they're kind of like markets. Think of the eBay for NFTs. So I'll drop a couple names here that might be helpful, so you can kind of check these out. These new networks, and one of them is OpenSeas.io. It's basically the eBay and the largest one of the NFT market space out there. Another one is Rarible, and you can basically easily create NFTs yourself. So anybody can create an NFT. It's going to cost you a little money, probably like $50 or $100 because the Ethereum is expensive now. But you can create your NFT and you can sell it right away yourself on the blockchain and make money. I see people doing it all the time. Some people are making millions of dollars just doing that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. And this whole space is so like, it's such a weird and interesting and fun, but really cool space because this is all new stuff that people have not been able to do before, right? And so you talk about those you use the term the rules that basically they're built into the Ethereum, right? Like you said, the
smart contract.
Smart contracts, right? So the smart contracts that are actually, you program that when you create the NFT, or how does that work at that point?
So there's almost everything's a smart contract. Even the token itself, like if I created a new Bitcoin or new coin like on like Ethereum network, that will be a smart contract that executed on Ethereum to create my new coin. Now inside of that, I'll be able to create my own smart contracts. It's almost like a tree. And you have leaves go to another and branches and grow. So you can basically grow things inside of other things and use those NFTs. But what's cool about it is you build something like on an Ethereum, and if you build on that network, it's like connecting your cell phone to AT&T or Verizon. You have all the features of that network now. Ethereum already has NFTs ability, but some other networks don't have that. So you got to be careful of what you pick or what you're building if you want to kind of use one of these things for your advantage.
Gotcha. So now the fun question: what is Dogecoin? Where did that come from?
So that was actually a joke. So that started, 8 years ago, and it was started as a joke where basically a couple guys were drunk one night. They said, "Hey, you know what? We're just going to go online and go to GitHub, copy the code for Bitcoin or Litecoin, and then basically go ahead and change out the word Litecoin with Doge and change the number of supply, make it like a super high number so everybody has a lot, and then submit it." And they were done with that and forgot about it. It was a joke. They basically made it as a meme coin, they call them, and it was forgotten about for a long time. And then, about 6 months ago, Elon Musk started getting interested in it, and it's absolutely gone through the roof. Honestly, right now, if I look at it, it's the third cryptocurrency in market capitalization. The only thing beating it is Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's a joke. I mean, if I look at the thing, is the market cap has almost $100 billion on a joke coin.
Wow.
So can you imagine? This has made people not millionaires, but billionaires.
That's unbelievable. So we got a question from the audience. With so many cryptos popping up, what separates an Ethereum from a Litecoin or a Polkadot? What separates a successful coin from a coin that isn't going to prosper? Great question. Thanks, Chris.
Sure. Yeah. No, these are all separate networks, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Polkadot. If I was going to say I'm a betting man, I'm betting actually more on Polkadot than Ethereum or Litecoin. Ethereum is basically great, but it's actually choking under its own weight. It's actually, like I said, that version 2 coin. The problem with that is it actually has scalability issues, and the higher the price goes, it goes counter to the use of the system. Meaning if you use the system, you have to pay gas fees, and it's going to be too expensive to use it. So it might actually get surpassed by Polkadot because Polkadot is still in development mode and doesn't even really have anything built on it yet. But what it does, it's going to allow every blockchain to talk to Polkadot and any other blockchain. So what Polkadot will do is glue together Ethereum and Litecoin, or glue together Bitcoin and another one, which you would never be able to do before. And I believe that has a lot of value. I've heavily invested in a Polkadot because of that. What's a successful coin? And trying to answer this question is purpose. What is the purpose of the coin? What problems is it solving? And is it going to have mass adoption for those problems? And people are going to want to use it and take advantage of it. I believe Polkadot solves a lot of problems. And what's interesting is Ethereum had 4 partners when they first started. 3 of them left. They had qualms with the Van Buiten guy who's left, where they didn't really agree upon or see eye to eye on certain things. Well, those other 3 leaders, is one of them created Polkadot, the other one created Cardano, and I can't remember the other one. And they're better products than Ethereum. And honestly, you're going to start getting legs soon. and they might overtake Ethereum because Ethereum is not going to fix its scalability problem for 2 years.
So two things came up that you're talking. I want to address them, but first thing, the question is, what is gas? So you mentioned gas is an issue, right? So
that's a fee to run that smart contract. So the smart contracts, they were very clever to figure out like resource usage. So what they did, that smart contract, when you submit it to the blockchain is going to say, you know what, that's a simple program. I'm going to charge you $5. They're going to submit another one. That's a complex problem. I'm going to have to spend a lot of extra work to do. That's going to be $50. That is the gas fee. So that gas fee is basically you have to pay to execute that smart contract, either by purchasing or transacting or like buying an NFT or just doing something on Ethereum to do something. So that's what that gas fee. But the problem with it is, and I'll explain to you so you understand it's real simple terms, is I buy and sell NFTs myself. So I bought a couple properties in this game called Crypto Voxels. It's kind of like Decentraland, but I didn't really care for the project anymore. So I had a couple properties, I sold them. Not a big deal. But one of the guys came back, he's like, hey, I really like that painting you had in your property. Can I buy that from you, that NFT? So I was like, okay, no problem. I went to go sell it to him. It was $160. So I sell it to him. Do you know what my gas fee was to sell it to him? It was $180. So I gave him $20 to take it from me. That's not sustainable. So that's what the problem with Ethereum right now is. It's too expensive to use it for any practical purpose. And the higher the price goes up, that you're going to spend more money for that.
Right.
Nobody's going to do that.
So Cassidy asks, where should we be trading and buying these coins? So what are some good sites to buy these things on our apps to buy them?
Sure. I'll list a couple of these. So I'm sure everybody knows about Coinbase, but Coinbase, honestly, they have very high fees and they're probably not so great on customer service. If you're going to use Coinbase Pro. They have 10% discount on their fees right off the bat by just using it. Everybody gets a Coinbase Pro account just by setting up. No, they don't advertise that because they lose money by that. So if you set that up, that's one way. You can get the app also in the iOS store. Another one, honestly, what I'd highly recommend if you're just going to buy Bitcoin, and if you're just starting out and you don't really know what to do here, buy Bitcoin above everything else, because Bitcoin is the gold standard and it drives the market. Wherever Bitcoin goes, everything else follows. So what I like using is Cash App. It's an app you get on your phone. It's really easy to buy and sell Bitcoin. Very fair prices. Their fees are inexpensive. It's also owned by Jack Dorsey, a big proponent of Bitcoin. He also owns Square and Twitter. I like what they do there. That's what I use. Buy a lot of my Bitcoin on is Cash App.
Okay, and then the other question was about the sub coins, smaller coins you want to buy, like Polkadot, like Litecoin. Where else you get those?
Yeah, so Polkadot's a little different. If you're going to buy Polkadot, you're going to, I think the easiest way is get on Kraken. It's an exchange here in the U.S. That's where I got my Polkadot. Polkadot, you can also stake it on that exchange, but be very careful of staking on exchanges because, and the term goes in crypto is if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. If it's on an exchange, they own the keys. And if they get hacked, somebody can copy them. There's nothing they can do for you. And I've already dealt with that in the past, mining, and we've gotten wiped out for a good amount of money. But, you just move forward, and eventually we got paid back. The company, stood by their product and paid us their losses for everybody that was in that exchange, which is amazing. That doesn't always happen. So, but that took 3 years.
Wow. Jeez.
To pay me back. So it is what it is. So I see another question here about Doge. Do you want me to address this right here?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Sure. So Doge started as a mean to eventually develop as a purpose, or folks still getting rich or getting broke. Here's the thing: is Doge is weird kind of a coin, because what they also did in Doge is kind of add another funny layer to it. They removed the max supply. So what the problem with that is it actually goes against the anti-inflationary things like Bitcoin. There's a max supply of 21 billion Bitcoins, and that will never change. Well, with Doge, the max supply limit was removed, and right now currently in circulation is 129 billion and growing. So the problem with that, that's just like the US government. The more Doge that are created, I think 16 million Doge are created every day, it's going to dilute the value of Doge. And basically when demand drops, Doge is going to drop. So from a, I don't want to say financial standpoint advice, but it's not a long-term investment play. And I know friends of mine that have like millions of Doge. And I'm like, listen, fundamentals probably won't play in your favor over time. If you're smart, what you do, you ride the wave up and get out before the ride's over.
Yeah.
And then move it into more stable coins. Like, to me, stable coins are the things in the top, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin. Honestly, Binance Coin is probably a really good bet for people, because actually that might beat Ethereum right now, because it's already in a position to do it.
So what is Binance?
So Binance Coin is interesting. Binance Coin is actually a coin was created for the Binance Exchange. And what it was meant to do is facilitate transactions on the network. But then it's really grown up. Binance itself has become the largest exchange in the world, and they have really created a really great ecosystem. So they turned that utility coin, which just meant to help people make cheaper transactions, actually into a competitor to Ethereum. So 2.5 months ago, they released BSC, or Binance Smart Chain, based off of Binance Coin. That is a competitor to Ethereum. And within 2 months, they already have some coins that have jumped ship on Ethereum and moved over to the new network, are doing more transactions than Ethereum are within 2 to 3 months. And I believe the value of that's why Binance has gone from like $15 last year to $650 now, and it might be a few $1,000s going. So that's another one I think is really good. But some people have problems with it because they would consider that more of a centralized coin, because it's ran by a company. So that's what the big value of these are, is that you want to find ones that are community driven and nobody owns, because then they're not driven by profit.
Gotcha. Another question from Cassidy. Where should we be doing research on the new coins? What's the best valid source?
Great question. So I would highly start with CoinMarketCap. It's an app also on the website. You go to coinmarketcap.com, or you can get the iOS app here. This is the gold standard and the Bible for anybody that's in crypto. If you're trying to create a new coin and you want to be like basically legitimate, once you're on here, you're pretty much on the list. So, but this list right here, I believe, if I look at it, is right now, if I move this out of the way, so there's 9,747 cryptocurrencies they're tracking, 40,000 markets, and just in the last 24 hours, Bitcoin had traded $238 billion with a market cap of 2.4 trillion.
Wow. Okay. So we'll put links in the description below. I'll put links to all those different things.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll provide you a bunch of these links, so I can provide to everybody when you post a video, so they can get them easily.
Perfect. That sounds awesome, man. And then last, he said, Cassie's last question. It doesn't have to be the last question, Cassie. You can ask more if you want. But he said, if you want to have access to purchase as many different varieties of coins available, where would you buy them, including the big four? But would like to have access to smaller coins as well.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, the smaller coins are where you're going to make more money. What you're going to do is, so those coins that are in the top 10, hundreds of billions of dollars or $1 trillion, they're such a large. They're larger than some of the largest companies you already know and buy products from. The problem is, how much more are they going to move? And even if they double, you're not going to make a ton of money. I mean, I can put $1,000 like an Ethereum, but if it only doubled to 8,000, I make 2,000.
Right.
So, but what these small caps, and that's what I'm interested in, is these small caps, because these small caps have exponential growth. They go from 0 to 10,000s, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to billions of dollars. And that's not uncommon for a coin to get to $1 billion. What you do is you ride that wave up. You'll have, I'd like to give you an example. I invested in this, kind of obscure coin called Pig Token, released on the Binance Smart Chain, one of those ones I always mentioned to you. Within a week, it went up 10,000%.
Wow, that's
so I'll put it in financial numbers here. So I put in $1,300 a week ago. 2 days ago, that was $250,000. It peaked hard, and then it started fizzling. So I actually cashed out at about $80,000. So my initial investment of $1,500 turned into $80-some thousand in less than a week.
Wow.
So that's what you can do. What you could do. So what I did is, I bought this coin, I bought like 40 billion of them when they were fractions of a fraction of a fraction of a cent. So what I'm doing, and that's how I'm actually kind of getting my finding things, is I'm looking at websites like that CoinMarketCap that's going to give you the big boys. Another one to look at for these small caps is CoinGecko and PooCoin. So they actually are really good at those kind of things and getting them. And then if you're going to buy and sell any of these kind of like small caps like I'm doing right here, I would get the Trust Wallet. It's a free iOS app or Android. It'll interact with both Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. And that's where I have about 20 or 30 of these small caps. There are basically, what I do is I buy a ton of them, and I look at, CoinGecko. There's a section there that says recently released coins, and they're going to show you in descending order of the new coins that they just got released like hours ago or 15 minutes ago, and you get on them as fast as you can. But you got to do your research too, because a lot of these could be a waste of your time and effort and money. They're just getting started, so it's like playing the fine line of getting in fast enough, but also doing your homework quick enough to make sure you basically bought something that's not a waste of time, or this is real money.
Yeah.
You can lose. I lost tens of. Sometimes the thing is, the kind of investing I'm doing, I do a swipe, I can lose $10,000 or $20,000.
Yeah. So do not invest in any more money than you can afford.
So that's what I mean. It's a massive. So exactly right. Do not put money that you're not going to get rid of or think of burning. But here's the thing: is you take that money, you can take something like as simple as $6. Like this guy, basically I know took $6 and put it in the Safe Moon about a month and a half ago. He cashed out $1 million a week ago. This is making millionaires overnight. If it's like a lottery ticket though, so you have to be careful. Risk comes with reward, but you also I'd be smart enough to know when to get in and get out. It's extremely risky and volatile, even for somebody like myself that knows a lot and spent tons of money buying mining equipment, buying all these different coins, doing all this crazy stuff for 5 years. So, but it's amazing what's happening right now, and it's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
So
Cassidy asked about the specific app to buy those things, the smaller ones on.
Yeah. So Trust Wallet. I would get the Trust Wallet. So another thing, what you guys might want to do is I have a pretty good. I post a lot of my videos and tutorials on TikTok, YouTube, and also my Twitter account. So I'll post those links along with those links too. And you can watch them. I actually give a lot of advice for these small caps. Also tell you how to buy these, because the problem with these small caps is it's not so straightforward like you would buy Bitcoin. You have to go to this thing, go to a thing like Pancake Swap is another app inside of the app to basically swap it. It's a couple steps that, if you're not techie, it might be a little weird. But once you do that, you're in, and you basically, here's what I do know. Once it's easy for everybody, you're probably not much money to be made.
Yeah.
So that's what I might think about. So that's why I like to charge in the unknown and go for the most obscure. I'm looking for my moonshots. I have one where I bought 870 billion of this coin. If it goes up fractions of a tiny penny, I'll kill it. So, but these are kind of like, but it might be pixie dust and turn to nothing. These are the gambles I'm doing. But I did like 30 or 40 of these little gambles, and I made this money by mining. So I basically take my mining money and adding a multiplier to it.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, I wasn't so lucky, but this week I was 80K plus. So that's a pretty good week.
Yeah. No worries. Absolutely. No, man, Steve, this has been awesome, dude. I appreciate it, brother. That's great information. There's so much information here in this one video. If you guys
Probably too much. I don't think this is a 101 anymore.
No, it's not anymore. But
we can continue that if you like.
Yeah, it started out that way. I think if anyone has questions, they can always pop in the chat and comment section, that kind of stuff. And we'll put your information in the description as well. But feel free to reach out to Mac about any questions you guys have. He's obviously super knowledgeable about this stuff. Knows way more than he's probably forgotten more than I can learn about this stuff in a period of time. But no, man, thanks so much for coming on. Any last minute thoughts or things that you want people to know about crypto, about blockchain, about NFTs, anything like that? Any last minute wisdom you want to leave people with?
Well, there's, not to kind of add some more stuff to it, but there's a really cool new thing that just really screamed up the charts like 2 days ago. And it might actually be something really revolutionary. So there's this one called Internet. Let me pull this up here. I got to pull it up and look at my thing here. So Internet Computer. So Internet Computer is ICP, and it's actually a new protocol for communication on the internet. And we're going to be moving to this. Like, what it allows us to do is have a secure way of communicating without using blockchain to do that for internet purposes. I could see entire ecosystems being built on top of this. This like equates to mixing like Verizon with AWS as a blockchain service.
Jesus. Okay. It sounds like
and that basically, game changers, not even kidding you. So basically, within 1 hour, it shot up the charts and it became $38 billion company in an hour. It like I saw nothing ever shoot up like a rocket. That happened like 2 days ago, and it's already in the top 10. To go from nothing to be in the top 10 that quickly, and it's already $292 each coin.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, but that's another one. If you're interested in something that's going to have long-term viability, that's actually going to be a building block for blockchain. Still in its infancy, believe it or not. So a lot of these chains are all independent of each other. Nobody's talking to each other, but that's starting to change. And once these all work together, they're going to be replacing our current internet. The Facebooks, the Googles will start going away because these are replacements for those types of companies. In some senses, because basically they can provide services that aren't really need to be humans running them anymore.
Wow, that'll probably that's part 2 of this video.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I'm so excited because me as a builder and a creator, I got a great canvas to work off using blockchain. I can build some amazing things and tools for people. So no, I'm excited about it.
No, it sounds awesome, dude. It's exciting as hell. I mean, it's the entire like paradigm
and it's
we live in
right
now.
It's not like it's like there's never been a project where the entire world's focused on something.
Yeah, it's shifting the entire. I mean, it's like I said, it's Internet 2.0, right? It's like the next level.
3.0. So this is considered Web 3.0. So basically, 1.0 was just simple web pages like GeoCities.
Oh, right.
And Facebooks are considered like Web 2.0. This is the Web 3.0. Basically, what it's going to do is bring the power back to the people. Facebooks and all those other companies are only driven by profit for 1 or 2 people. These systems aren't driven by profit. They're basically taking the power back to people so they don't have to be taking advantage of these systems.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
To me, honestly, these are things I care about because honestly, I like to build fair things and truthful systems. And that's what I think these things bring to the world is those types of technologies. And I think the sky's the limit because that's what I think everybody wants in the end.
Agreed.
You know, people want to be fairly treated and not taken advantage of and not just for a profit kind of thing. And I think if we kind of start moving away from these profit-driven systems where we'll have people that'll have happier lives and not have to worry about, I think humanity will be better as a whole.
100%, man.
No,
I appreciate it, Jack. And yeah, Cassie, we'll throw Mac's information into the description of the video once we post it. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks, Chris, Cassidy, everybody else who tuned in. Appreciate it. Anybody else watching afterwards, appreciate it. Hit like on the channel, on the video. I can't talk right now. Sorry. Hit like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are interested in more information about this stuff. And maybe we'll do a version 2, a 2.0 with Mac talking more about this stuff in a couple weeks. But yeah, let us know what you liked about the video. Feel free to post some comments and reach out to Mac as well. All right. Thanks again, man.
Thanks a lot for having me. Pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.